Welcome to Game Night, and this is our roundtable discussion where, unlike any other roundtable discussion on the internet, we actually have a round table. That's what makes it our quality worth watching.
It's a circle.
We're not adding jerk to that. It might get to that. We want to talk, or I want to talk about Loki, episode 1. I've got a lot to say. And so do these other guys here.
Oh, I'm here to talk about Halo.
No, Loki episode 1. Introduce yourself, say hi, and what are your thoughts on Loki episode 1?
Ben, we'll start with you.
Nathan, what are your thoughts?
Oh, touche. I'm Sir Nathan. I finished watching the episode about half an hour ago. I enjoyed the setting, and I like the tone that it's going in, but it did give me this kind of off-putted feeling. I don't know what it is yet, but I did feel a little uncomfortable with some of the story elements.
Okay, leave you there, Ben.
I enjoyed it. And my views are a little bit confusing as to why I enjoyed it. But like Nathan, it seems like it is designed to make one feel uncomfortable. But that's part of what I loved about it. It seems like it's going to be quite a roller coaster of crazy stuff that they're going to be doing to the viewers' minds, which I love. I'm very excited for it.
I like it, but for not the reasons the creators want me to.
After I watched it, I was ambivalent, and there were 3 big concerns in my head. And the more I thought about it, the more I've figured out what the implications of these concerns are, the worse it has gotten. To the point where Loki, this single episode, has basically fundamentally broken the entire MCU. That isn't an overstatement. I'm going to explain why. And it might be one of the worst written MCU anything that has ever made. And this isn't for... It mainly is for the world building and the execution of the world building and what it says about the entire MCU. It breaks, and I'm not kidding, breaks MCU so much on so many levels. And there are other things that it does which makes me dislike it even more. To the point where I don't like. I might even loathe this. The thing is, though, I cannot explain why Loki is so fundamentally broken without going into spoilers. On a surface level, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it, as we've seen by the other game nights. Like, even on a surface level, though, right? I wasn't sold on it. There was one thing that I thought, that could be interesting. I kind of like where that's going. And it's the end of the episode. Again, it's a spoiler, so I can't really talk into that. Everything else is when I first saw it, I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about that. And then I thought about it, I was like, wow, I really hate that, like on fundamental levels. And so on the surface, trying to not do spoilers, but the surface level, like the characterization of Loki, I think they did Loki a disservice. I don't think Loki is nearly as Loki as he should be. I think they almost emasculated him from his former glory.
But they did it with, what's his name, Bucky too.
The entire setting and premise is one of the worst problems of the whole series, and because of that, I can't get behind anything. How can I have motivation, enjoyment, and interest in something that is not only broken, the structure of the powers at play. Look, anyway. We need to get into spoilers soon, but
let's just discuss it then.
Well, without going into spoilers, I guess you guys already kind of explained why you were enjoying it. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
Well, I might have some counters to your issues with it.
We will get into spoilers and a big spoiler.
Just to play devil's advocate, though, just to be clear.
You're going to lose.
So one of the main reasons I liked it is, for like I said, it's going to be playing with people's perception of right and wrong, and going to be doing some crazy mind stuff. But what I liked about it is, at first, it seems like they are not overtly letting on who are the good guys and who are the bad guys.
You see, you think that. I think the show was trying to establish one side as the good guys with hints that they could go bad. Is that what you're saying?
I don't feel that at all.
Really?
No, I think there was an ominous undertone for one particular side that they weren't addressing and were waiting for keen-eyed viewers or for people who have some
See-
historical understanding.
See, I think that could be where they're going with it, or one of the unfortunate possibilities is the writers could be so dumb
Yeah.
that they won't address it at all,
Yeah.
and they'll think that it's fine. Anyway, Nathan?
I like the setting. I like the idea of the concept of it, but I'm interested to see what you say,
Okay.
Shad, because with the timeline and the way that the multiverse works, I feel like
I think Nathan is catching on to some,
Yeah.
some of the issues I've already nutted
because
out.
I was confused, but I always give them the benefit of the doubt to have a good time.
Yeah.
But I know
Like,
you're a
that's
bit
what
more...
I've been doing, because I've pointed out, especially since Shad started talking, I've been able to figure out, I think, what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Regarding the timeline specifically, and
Yeah.
the flow of
But
events.
not only that, the powers that are behind everything,
Yeah.
I have
What if
things
we
to say
just do
about
a
those.
general review of what we thought of the episode, and then we move on to the spoilers?
That's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
So, because, I
What'd you
think
rate
that...
What would you rate it out of 10?
I think I'd sit somewhere between 7 and 8, I think.
I'd give it an 8.
I am sitting on a 3 that might get downgraded to a 1 the further I go. I'm coming at it from a broader perspective as to the implications of what world building means. And like, if a story, right, even if it's a good story, if it's built on something that is broken and contradictory and that I hate, it undermines any enjoyment I can have on the story that's supposedly built on it. Just it doesn't work, okay? And you say, can one bad thing ruin an entire show? And even if there might be arguably good things in the other parts of the show, I think you can argue if the other parts in Loki are even good. But even if we were to say, give it that concession, is it good? I think, yes, there are some things that can be so bad and so broken that it can ruin everything. For instance, if you look at Lord of the Rings, at the end of Lord of the Rings, when Aragorn is facing off, the forces of Mordor, and then if he suddenly started to strip naked and cluck like a chicken and then poo himself and the show ended like that, I would say that had the capacity to ruin the entire movie, okay? Yes,
Yeah.
one bad thing can ruin a whole show depending on how bad it is, and Loki's fundamental foundation that sets up everything in the show is that broken, that contradictory, and almost that insulting to the MCU as it's been established, that it is that bad, and because of that I could reach a 1 for it.
Okay.
Wow.
Nathan?
And I'll explain why. People, look, if you like the show, that's fine. You need to hear me out.
I think the one issue with reviewing TV shows, especially episode by episode, is that it's not like a movie where you watch 2 hours and you get the whole story. Like, they're going to plan this out for, a couple of months.
I don't think, unfortunately, from seeing Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and WandaVision, I don't think the writers are that insightful to fix the issues. Like, if this was just a bait and switch, like, you thought it was broken, it was really not. They have not done that in the other 2 shows. So much so that the warning signs of the other 2 shows get exponentially worse.
Yeah, that's true.
In the other shows. And that's why I'm thinking this is not a bait and switch. I think they are that... Ooh.
Maybe it's like every other department has clued on except the writers. You know, because the set dressing, they've got the propaganda posters, they've got the brutalist architecture, they've got all the signs, but the writers are just dumb.
It could be. All right, so now we need to get into spoilers. I need to explain why.
Yeah, so if you don't want spoilers, stop right now, go and watch the
Yeah,
show.
go
come back.
away and watch it, you bastard.
And see, that's a bit rough.
Sorry.
Cheapskates is better.
Yeah, pirate it, you cheapskates.
No, don't do. We don't. If a pirate happens to give you the show,
Yeah.
I'm Blackbeard. Watch the show. Here, be a show. Yes, spoilers now. You've been forewarned. Okay. So fundamental premise of the show. Loki gets captured by time cops. Well, they're not time cops. This is the if they were time cops,
Time commissar.
fine. That's what did you just say?
Time commissars.
Time commissars. Why are they time commissars?
Because they don't care if you consent. They don't care about your choices. You didn't do what you're supposed to, comrade.
It's not about fixing broken. It's not about changing history. they're okay with changing history so long as it's changed in the way they approve.
Yep.
So
and this is explained in a particular line in the movie, which we'll talk about.
So Loki, he gets captured by what you think are time cops, and then he's getting processed in. They're trying to play it up for a joke, but there are some like ridiculous things. Like there's a part, and this is in the trailer, where he gets a thing, sign this to confirm that this is everything you've ever said.
Everything you've ever said, and it's this ledger.
It's not that big. It's this big.
Yeah, supposedly full of everything that he has.
So, the characterization of Loki is going to be really important about this. Loki is supposed to be clever, okay? Signing something that could have some legal weight. Like, do you think that's something Loki would sign?
No.
I don't think no. Like, he can't. Like, he only knows what's. He doesn't know that anything could be in that.
But do you think that Loki would read it?
See, you know what would be more funny? Like, if you signed a false name, like Thor. Like, there's a joke! And that's like Loki being an absolute joke. Is like, Thor definitely everything he has ever said. Like, and then they take it like, he's being, mischievous and stuff, that's something. But for him actually confirming this is everything he's ever said that's never written, it's like, felt out of character. It's like, it's a gag, don't worry about it. But this is important about everything how Loki is shown in the show. This is just one example amongst many which feel very contrary to his character.
Yeah. So, and this is the thing. So, Loki is one of my favorite characters in the MCU, specifically because of his character arc throughout the entire series. Because he starts off as the bad guy, and then it ends off being like him and Thor actually sharing a really strong brotherly relationship. But at this stage in the story, this is just after Loki was arrested after he tried to destroy, was it New York City?
New York.
Yeah, New York.
Conquer the entire planet.
Yeah, okay. And so, but it feels like the Loki they're portraying in the series is the Loki that has gone through all the character development and he has appeared in...
That's why they showed him the footage of the MCU.
But
to catch him up to speed.
And it feels very cheap, and that like the Loki of that point.
What else could they have done? I'm just being devil's advocate. What else could they have done?
They could have made Loki act in accordance to how he would have acted after the Battle of New York.
Yeah.
So they could have just made him that Loki who was still after power, wanting to kill everyone. And look, we need to shelve Loki because we're getting off topic. We need to go back to the space commissars because this is again the foundation, right? So, and look, I took us off on the tangent because of the thing, but I'll own that. But now I'm bringing it back. I'm fixing my problem. Anyway, so is it time cops and a little public service ad appears explaining the world building behind this time commissar organization,
the commissariat,
and it's that originally there was a multiverse.
Yeah,
I don't like that they use the word multiverse because. A nitpick, this is actually hugely consequential, but there is the multiverse that Doctor Strange is associated with, and they're saying it's not that. This is a multiverse of different timelines, which are parallel dimensions. That's what that means. So these are not alternate dimensions with different laws of physics and a dimension of like time and a dimension of the dark place or anything. And so I don't know how they're gonna. They probably just ignore it with the Doctor Strange movie in the Multiverse of Madness, because this, like PSA says, that there are three powerful entities that these multiverses were waging war against one another. And again, it feels like it's alternate timelines, and that's what they explain. And these are not alternate dimensions. Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
All right, and okay. So they just say alternate timelines having a war. They don't explain how. That is just and it had threatened to destroy reality or something.
Like that, yeah.
Like, why do you think I have a problem with like this description already?
Because it hasn't been referenced at any other point in the MCU.
Yes, for me, they don't explain how they're waging a war. Like, why is an alternate timeline a threat to another timeline? I mean, you could explain it like some things you can intuit. Some things would have a threat to something. If suddenly, 50 million foxes flooding the world, all the chickens are now feeling a threat. We understand why the chickens would feel a threat from an overabundance of foxes.
Well, not just that. It could also be that interfering with one timeline changes it to a worse situation.
Does it though? They didn't say that.
We'll see.
Well, no, but there's the branches. There's the branches that cause things to change.
But time travel theory is one of my pet enjoyments. I love figuring out, and so there's 3 main theories of time travel. The one, paradox, which doesn't work. Alternate reality is the next one, and then the other one is immutable. You can't change the past. Anything you change in the past, you're just fulfilling something that was already done in the past, and you...
which is the most likely.
Which is the most likely one that continues according to laws of physics. Yeah. Alternate parallel reality time travel is fun, but can create a lot of problems for exploitation. The thing is though, if you went back, changed the past, and you created parallel reality, which is a new timeline, it doesn't affect the timeline you come from.
Yeah.
Okay? There's nothing to say that they should have a problem.
Yeah.
And so they're saying that there's a war. And the only thing that could happen is that, I don't know, all the other timelines figured out how to jump between parallel realities and are trying to invade each other or something like that.
Yeah.
But they don't, that's not even, it's like, just because they're alternate timelines, they impact fire, they don't explain.
I know why.
Why?
Okay. The Time Lords have created the sacred timeline, and I'll tell you why it's sacred. Because it's the timeline where they're all in power.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Because, look, I know I'm getting hung up on that, but that alone, we're seeing imperfect, unintuitive stuff that doesn't make sense world building. But they explain there was wars, reality almost destroyed itself, but then these Time Lords, and I think we can call them that, Time Lord, Time Being, and I have so many issues with these guys.
But
already.
think about it, that's the playbook of any tyrant. Oh, there was chaos, so we came and set about order.
It seems
that
like
order just so happens to support their power structure.
They create a perfect timeline, and it is not a timeline that is void of any interaction or manipulation from the future. They're actually
Except
okay.
for their own.
Yeah.
And this PSA thing goes as far to say that if anyone steps outside according to their prescribed timeline path, that's where the time commissars come in and arrest them.
Yeah.
And kill them.
And it seems like their main job is to kill them and to wipe out, completely destroy the alternate timeline that branched off. So see this? We've got the double-edged activations. This now is representing the glorious worship timeline that they have in the space Time Lords are making. This is the timeline. Any branch off from the timeline, that's where the time commissars come in. And not only do they arrest the offender who caused it, they have these bombs, like these time bombs, which supposedly resets the timeline, which means destroys that entire alternate reality.
In the courtroom that Loki was in, it had all the reminiscent Soviet artwork on the walls, and there was actually a mural showing the Time Lords standing next to what looked like a red tree, which represented the time thing. Things branching off, and they actually had scissors, and it looked like they'd snipped the things off.
So this, like, the what's the organization? TVA?
TVA, Time Variance Authority.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not only for the reasons we've explained, but a bit more, like, because we see one guy trying to escape, and he just skips it, or he doesn't take a tab from a queue, okay, and he gets disintegrated for
nothing.
When I saw that, I was like, already this organization is irredeemably evil.
And not just that,
they are murdering people, like disintegrating, like just
over a ticket.
Yeah.
Over a ticket, but they are destroying entire realities. Like, Thanos only wanted to destroy half of living people, let alone planets and other life forms. These sons or whatevers are destroying entire realities on a regular basis.
Or are they sons of whenevers? I think I've figured out how this is going to end. They're going to do a reverse Gamora situation. Remember how Gamora died in Infinity War, and they brought her back with the Gamora from a different timeline? Mm-hmm. I think that since Loki died in Endgame, he's no longer in that timeline. The resolution for this series will be, he just gets put back into the timeline where he died.
Possibly. So we've explained that the Time Lords, space alien whatevers, they have a perfect timeline that they are enforcing, and it said that that the events of Endgame was meant to happen, so they're okay with. So it enforces once again that it's not about protecting an untainted, uncorrupted timeline that has been changed from the past. It is just making sure things happen the way they want. And this is where it gets really bad, okay? They are not trying to prevent bad things. The thing that determines this perfect timeline is completely arbitrary according to the want, and you don't have to do anything immoral to be judged guilty and vaporized by them, and this entire reality. They said you could be late for work. And if that steps out of their prescribed timeline, which is everything that the MCU happened accordingly, that means that's not the perfect timeline, and you are worthy of complete annihilation.
And your timeline.
And now, at the moment, this is all I have to go off, that this is like the guy that gets vaporized, complete death. That it's not teleportation into a holding cell, or you get transferred into another, because this is very much saying that they're wiping out entire realities and the perpetrators get vaporized. And that's what this, if the late episode they show the vaporization does something else, fine, I can retract certain things, but right now this is what we have to go off. And so these Time Lords are the peak evil I think I've ever seen portrayed in any media, because this is what they are fundamentally against: free will. They legitimately,
like all communists,
they are legitimately, their entire being and purpose is to stop free will branching off from the way that they want things to be done. That is astounding. That is like if you want to get into Christian theology, right? In the council in heaven before, we all came to earth, Satan had a plan, which was to take away the free will of all God's children. It's that level of evil. Like, this is like equivalent to Satan's ultimate evil. Like, that's what these beings are. And they're being portrayed as the good guys because...
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
See, I hope not. If this is a setup to show that the TVA is really an evil organization, good. Because it is. It is astoundingly evil. Yep. But I am actually worried that the writers could be this astoundingly dumb, or they are going to establish that Owen Wilson and the TVA are actually right, that they are correct and justified in being this level of evil. And you know why? You know why? This is one of the reasons why I think. There is certain ideologies that are more prominent in Hollywood that are very much about, you better agree with us or you will be cancelled. Or it's almost like you'll be, vaporized from social media. That they feel they are so right that they can unperson people. And this is like a very interesting one-to-one comparison to what we're seeing now portrayed in a show. And I think this could be.
Whatever
I'm happy if I'm
no
wrong.
Politics, Chad.
I could be wrong, but I'm worried that this is like a subconscious expression of how certain writers wish they could control everything in the political sphere and just vaporize everything.
Erasing history, erasing people.
and
fits right in.
I'm so concerned they could be this dumb that they actually think these space Time Lords are good and the TVA is a benevolent organization and you just need to do everything that they say. And just what was the saying? Like do what we say, and you'll be happy, or something like that.
You will own nothing, and you'll be happy.
Yeah, give up your free will, and you will be happy. Do everything that we tell you to do, and you'll be happy.
I gotta disagree with you there, because even in the first episode, they have established quite a bit of tension between Owen Wilson's character and the TVA. Okay.
I hope so. I hope I'm wrong.
I don't think so.
No, they have, because Owen Wilson. What happens is he has to leave to do something, and he
says,
pretty much
don't vaporize.
Yeah, pretty much. Because he's calling them reckless. He's saying, you're reckless, you're stupid. Okay, we need to do more than this.
To be fair, he has been working there as he's been an agent of them for apparently a really long time, maybe forever.
And I think it's made quite clear that he's not happy with the way things are going, which is why he is effectively disobeying the orders he's received to reset Loki's timeline.
No, he has some agency to act as an agent. He's allowed to. He went in front of the judge and said, "Hey, can I have Loki?" And she's like, "Yeah, okay."
No, she didn't just say yeah, okay. She went up to him and she said, if this blows up, it's on you.
Okay, but
she
still
doesn't agree with what he's doing. He doesn't agree with what they're doing.
I hope you're right. I really do. I genuinely do. I feel you're wrong, though. I think it has been getting so bad in the writing quality in the other MCU shows that I actually think the actual antagonist is going to be another version of Loki, and Loki is going to eventually either fight with them, maybe not agree with them, but fight with them. But the TVA, I hope not. Like, they would make great, like, they are the most villainous evil villains in all of MCU. And so I really do hope that this is a setup for fighting the 3 Time Lords, but I'm worried it isn't.
I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. Okay.
We might need to get. We'll leave for fictions. Yeah.
I agree with everything that's been said. I'm worried. Yeah.
So going back to the golden timeline, because we need to kind of go chronologically, right? And there's something really significant about this golden timeline because it is contradicted already based on what's already previously established on the MCU. Now, I want to explain to you guys, explain to the audience why already the purpose of this golden timeline by the Time Lords is fundamentally broken already. Okay? So, this is the golden timeline. Straight, like everything going according to what they want, alright? Endgame is down here. Endgame happens, and they need to get Infinity Stones going back in time.
Yeah.
Alright? And so one of the first times they go to, and this is going to represent a branching timeline. So right here, can you hope you can see the pencil there? This is a branching timeline. This is when they go back to New York to get the Mind Stone, the Time Stone, and the Space Stone. The Space Stone is the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Okay? The Mind Stone is Loki's spear, and the Time Stone, the Ancient One has.
Yeah.
Okay? And so they go back there, they get, the Mind Stone and the Time Stone, but this is where, the stuff up happens.
Yeah.
And Loki gets the Space Stone and he teleports away. Now, they create a branching reality here. This is now a branching reality that Now, the reason why we know this is a golden timeline and not this one is because they confirm it, that the events of Endgame and everything that happens, like, the extrapolation of what would happen in this timeline is a bit crazy. Now, first of all, the Ancient One explains that when you take a time stone out from a thing, it creates a branching reality, and that could be a problem.
Yeah.
And that's why they return the Infinity Stones to where they took them. The intention, even though they did change the past, and if we were being strict, that is a parallel reality, by returning the stones, the events that then follow on are basically almost exactly the same as what would regularly happen, because they return the time stone to where they took them, and then everything plays out as normal. The issue is, they didn't get the Tesseract here.
Yeah.
They go further back and get the Tesseract from Tony Stark's dad way back when. And so when Steve Rogers goes to return the Infinity Stones to where they took them, he returns the Tesseract to this timeline and returns it. The one here, right, that Loki grabs and heads off, that timeline is never corrected.
That is what I was saying.
It is. Remember, because when they take Loki, they put the charge down to destroy that timeline.
Do they destroy that
They
entire
do.
reality?
They show you do it, yeah.
They do.
So there's that.
Because then they take him.
Because he looks back at it like, what the hell? But they don't actually show it destroying people. They just press the thing and you see the deatomization spread out from it, and he's looking back at it like, what the hell? And then they put him through the thing.
Okay, because my worry was, right, is that they were fine to leave that timeline just going.
No.
Because this is the thing. The thing that, actually, I think you're wrong. But if it's reset,
this is exactly what I was saying before.
But this is where it's broken, right? This is where it's broken. They said the divergent, the thing that sent the thing away from their golden timeline, was Loki picking up the Tesseract and teleporting away.
Yeah.
That's why they arrest Loki.
Yeah.
Okay?
And he tries to defend himself by saying, no, the Avengers did it because they went back in time.
Yes! The Avengers caused the diversion, not Loki.
Exactly.
So, alright, now I'm trying to remember my point, because
So it's not Loki's fault.
it's not Loki's fault. He shouldn't have been arrested.
And at the same time, like, if you're trying to find fault, like, do you find fault with the soldiers for not seeing the Tesseract and grabbing it? Do you find fault with Hulk for knocking Tony Stark? Like, who do you find?
The point is, when he uses that point to defend himself, they turn around and say, no, that was meant to happen. The Avengers were meant to do that.
Oh, yeah, the Avengers were meant to do that, so that means that he was meant to pick it
But
up.
this is the point. If the Avengers were meant to do that, right, which means everything was meant to happen except Loki picking it up, okay, that means this branching timeline was meant to branch off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be separate from their golden central timeline.
Which means that everything the TVA... They can't be outside of time.
So this is the thing. If Loki was guilty, okay, that means this branching timeline is supposed to exist, even though they wiped it out, which contradicts their entire belief that the main MCU timeline is the golden timeline. Because the thing that created the branch wasn't Loki. It was, the Avengers going back in time to steal the thing.
But they try and justify that by saying that the Avengers going back and stealing the thing was originally supposed to be part of this golden timeline.
Yeah, but that meant this branching timeline that they created, that they don't fix. The Avengers don't fix this timeline by returning the Tesseract.
It's almost like time travel has a ton of paradoxes in it.
And so they don't understand what they're trying to establish here. They could have just done a simple time cop thing. Changing the past is bad. Let's try and avoid it.
Yeah.
Okay? Then they're confronted with the Endgame stuff, because Endgame is literally held up by the fact that time travel happened, and if they prevent time travel happening, then the snap is half the universe is still dead.
Yeah, so there is the possibility that they have considered what you've just said after making Endgame, and they've gone, oh crap, we forgot to plug that hole, let's make something called Loki.
No, see, I don't think so. I think Loki escaped as a whim. Oh, no, sorry.
They plan these things 10 years in advance.
Loki escaped for the series, okay? But then they're trying to explain the TVA and where it fits into MCU continuity.
I think
is
this is
a contradictory mess, and it's garbage, and the writers haven't thought about it nearly as much as
I
they
think
should.
Loki exists just to bring Loki back into the main MCU.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that they want to bring Loki back into the main.
And that's
He was a
because
very
he died in
violent
one. He died in the golden timeline, so this is him. The resolution, my bet right now, my prediction is that the resolution of this is, okay, we're going to put you back into the timeline where you died.
No.
Or they're going to destroy the TVA. Hopefully both.
So, may I talk about what I think is going to happen now? Or
Not
is
yet,
that gonna, okay,
because
Oh, it's cool. Sorry then.
that we need to talk about now the next big mass. The Time Lords.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Not the two halves.
They are gods, essentially. We have come to the gods of the MCU. These are beings that exist on a plane higher than the Infinity Stones.
To the point where Infinity Stones are used as
And I
paper.
hated this so much. The struggle, the significance of everything the characters did was to deal with the overwhelming, unfathomable power of the Infinity Stones. And now they are literally just played off as paperweights to try and establish how powerful the Time Lords are.
To be devil's advocate, once you've and storyteller's advocate, once you've crossed, changing two different realities, saving half the universe of beings, what can you do after the point where you've already got the biggest baddest and done the biggest baddest,
Not undermine the conflict
But to be
of
fair,
the entire MCU up to this point.
do the TVA sit outside of time?
See, there's a couple of ways they could try and answer this, right? One way is answered in a similar way that's actually done with Power Girl from classic DC Comics.
Okay.
So, does everyone know the actual OC Power Girl's origin?
Is she the one with the
No.
boobs?
She's the one with the boobs,
Yeah.
okay?
Oh, yeah, I love Power Girl.
She is actually Supergirl from an alternate timeline.
Oh, okay. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, she is from a Supergirl from an alternate timeline that crosses over reality into the main DC universe, okay? Now, there is some interesting realities. Kryptonite has much less effect on her because it comes from another dimension. The Kryptonite of this dimension has less effect on her because she comes from another timeline. And if you want to affect her with Kryptonite, you get Kryptonite from the actual reality she comes from. That, I kind of get. I could play with that. That makes sense. And so they could have played with the fact that the Infinity Stones actually can only affect the reality that they come from.
Yeah.
I would be on board.
Yeah, that'd be-
It's contradicted by a couple of things because Doctor
Contradicted
Strange...
by Avengers Endgame because they went back to another reality.
reality to get the Infinity.
Yeah.
So the Infinity Stones clearly have power from other alternate realities. Doctor Strange uses the Time Stone in another dimension entirely.
Yeah, and creates, I don't know, that repeating.
Yeah, they're repeating
what's
it.
his name?
So
Yeah.
the established canon already says that can't really happen. And so they could have still made it work by not undermining the Infinity Stones. Okay? Why? One, take the Tesseract from Loki and not give it back and not let him find it or any other Infinity Stones. Problem solved!
And give them back to the Asgardians.
Or put the Tesseract back in the timeline where Loki took it from.
Yeah.
And let it just play out as normal.
No, let's just kill trillions of people more than Thanos did.
Oh, no. Let's just kill the whole thematic weight of the entire MCU by playing off the most important plot devices as friggin' paperweights.
Not only-
Are you kidding me?
Not only did they destroy one universe, but, well, the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, apparently.
This is why I think it undermines nearly the whole MCU, because these space god things are just like, nah, we're more powerful than everything. Literally, like they are more powerful than everything. Loki can't use his magics. The Infinity Stones themselves. Now, I don't even know if they're gonna bother trying to explain this, because the level of Marvel writing has got to the point where they just say, this is how it is, and then they don't explain spit. Like, they've done that with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they've done it with WandaVision, where this is it, and they don't, and no explanation given. And so I think they're just going to be saying, yeah, they can do this, no explanation given. If they do try and explain it, I'm so interested in how they try and explain where these gods come from, their power, and why they can nullify Infinity Stones. Now, what if it's a pocket dimension that literally no other power can have any influence in this pocket dimension apart from the people who create it, which is the space gods? That would be an explanation.
That's what I understood the TVA to be, was a time that was outside, a dimension that was outside of space and time that was able to...
but then I asked, like, how could you create a dimension like that the Infinity Stones would have no power in? Like, because we already showed that the Infinity Stones have power in alternate dimensions because of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Well, if they're not bound by time, you can bet there'll be a lot of rules they're not bound by. So maybe they sit outside of time in the way, like, kind of like how a person can stand outside of a merry-go-round.
Kind of like Dormammu from the Dark Dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they're in the Dark Dimension.
Yeah. and Pitia can't enter one of those dimensions with an Infinity Stone and actually use them.
Yeah.
Like Dormammu.
Like Doctor Strange did.
Like Doctor Strange did with Dormammu. Like, I mean, Doctor Strange is the problem. If that didn't happen, they could try and establish that you can't use Infinity Stones in another dimension.
Yeah.
That their power is only tied to the dimension they come from. That could be a satisfying explanation.
Well, but even if they
but
did
this is
that-
the problem. They're now contradicting established MCU canon.
Yeah.
Like, this is big contradictive stuff.
Yeah.
And so then we have these space god time lord things that they can do because of reasons. That is the most unsatisfying, low effort world building ever, because reasons. They are just powerful. I hate that.
To be fair, we do have a lot more to see. And
Yes.
I think they're going to do
Okay.
like somewhere between what we've expected, I reckon.
We'll yet to find out. So far, I hate it, and already, and just their existence, how they can do what they do, as Oz mentioned, it could be fixed. So far, I hate it, but their morality, their
Sacred timeline.
sacred timeline bullcrap makes them next level totalitarian evil beyond like all the bad things that's happened in this timeline had to happen and if anyone tried to stop it, they would get disintegrated. And can we talk about the concept of erasing a reality?
Yeah.
An entire reality.
Murder to the trillionth degree.
Yeah, like they're trying to say, if you're trying to say that reality shouldn't exist, it's like, no. Because look at the person who was late to work, okay? Like,
Him and everyone he knows and everyone in his reality deserves to die.
and according to that set, Loki deserves to die. He's a divergent. He has no validity to exist according to the Time Lords because he isn't supposed to exist. The proper Loki was supposed to die by Thanos. This Loki, no. Like, erased. That's their creed at the moment, okay? And they're only letting him, well, the agent is letting him live because he could be helpful. And so, these guys, right? Like, so you're late to work. You create a branching timeline. I'm late to work. That individual is as much an individual as the version of him who wasn't late to work. That's how it works. And science fiction has actually played with this idea heaps. There's a great book series called Pathfinder by Orson Scott Card. And it has these branching timelines. And look, it's not much. This is like a side thing, plot series. But the heroes end up taking someone from an alternate reality, an alternate timeline into their main reality, and it's a child, and the actual mother, who was the mother of an alternate reality, ends up not loving this child because it wasn't really her child. She doesn't see it as her own. Interesting stuff, but it's establishing that these other realities are important, and there are even there are even shows of people going, like Dragon Ball Z is a great example. Okay, Trunks goes back in time to save a reality that has no impact on his own future.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, remember Trunks? So Dragon Ball Z operates on the alternate reality type of thing, and he goes back in time to defeat the androids, and he literally says, "No, this isn't going to change anything." And he goes back to his future, all buffed up and strong, and he kills his own androids in his future.
Yeah.
But Trunks has so much value in the lives of people of an alternate reality that he spends all this time trying to save their lives. This series is the complete reverse, where they are wiping out entire universes because they're not the timeline that they want. That is next level evil, and I'm not understating it. I've never seen a group depicted doing that level of like. Actually, no. There is one other evil I've read who does similar level scale evil as this being, and it is the villain in the DC Heroes and Marvel Heroes crossover. There's a crossover in. I've got the graphic novel sitting right in the book there, right? There's this being that travels between dimensions, wiping out entire realities, and he is established as the ultimate bad guy. And this show has an organization doing the same thing, and they're portraying them as the so far.
Again, yeah, no, I gotta disagree.
I hope they're not. I hope they're not. But all right, if they are shown as justified, I'm not saying good guys, but even justified. What will you guys give me? Because holy crap!
Yeah, if they are shown to be the good guys, or if what they're doing is shown to be justified in the series, I'm going to agree with you.
Because they're playing it off as we'll reset it, right? That's not a reset. They are literally wiping out an entire reality.
Pruning them. That's
Pruning.
That's what they call it as well.
They're already like the people doing it. Just like we'll just do it. They're already playing it off like it's a nothing. And that's what makes me really concerned.
That's why I appreciate the communist architecture and themes and vibes.
So there is. Oz pointed this out. There is this actual you think it's a 60s vibe, right? But the actual propaganda posters and certain types of architecture are very Soviet Union-esque.
Yep. I spotted my second watch.
And so I hope that is the smart people, writers could be smart. The TVA is the ultimate evil. Like I said, I hope that's the case. I am really worried.
There are some signs towards them being smart and towards them being the opposite. Because, like, for example, their solution to getting Loki up to speed is to just show him some shortcuts of the MCU, right? Mm-hmm. But on the other end, they've got Loki pretty much understanding himself, and that he is his understanding of the universe is based on his understanding of his own character, which is often the case in psychology, is your worldview is very singular. It's not an all-encompassing thing. So I thought that was really interesting, but I don't know, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, again,
because this is we say that there are nods to Soviet Union communism in the set design and stuff like that. The problem is there are a lot of people in Hollywood that like communism and stuff, and instead of being a hint of evil, it could have been an homage to the perfect utopia that they want. I'm worried.
After watching this, I bought the Gulag Archipelago on Audible and I started listening to it. And, oh man, yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
So, well, look at how much we've talked and we're at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the Infinity Stones. That's about, halfway-ish mark.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Owen Wilson, his performance.
No, we need to talk to when Loki gets captured and the betrayal of his character.
He stole my thing, Shad. What? Reprimand him.
What did you do?
I was about to say Owen Wilson's performance. Wow, but he did it first! You bastard!
Wow.
I am too one with the meme.
So, Loki's character. I want to talk a bit about his character because at the very beginning, he's based, to me, emasculated.
Yeah.
Like, just slapped down, and it's when he gets arrested by the time
Variance
commissar.
Time commissars.
Time commissars.
Time commies for short.
Where you see this, and the reason why I don't like this character, right, is they're supposed to be imposing, they're supposed to be tough and everything like that, and it's this overweight lady and she's got thick legs and real thin arms, and so she does not look imposing at all, and because there are chunky people who have muscle, you can tell by their stance and the way they walk, and she's walking in the way that she's got this awkward kind of waddle that the weight is throwing her off. And look, no offense to people who are overweight. I've been overweight as well. But this is a character you're supposed to have a role that you're supposed to fill, and they're supposed to be a tough cop type person, right? And she has no upper body strength at all. He's really thick thighs and these thin, scrawny arms, and
That's
she's
her
trying to act
superhero name,
so
Thunder Thighs.
oh, she's trying to act so tough, and this is the character that smacks Loki down. I'm like, oh, and it's a single hit, you know. Loki's got all this power. He's got all this. He could have done his hologram, fake decoy, and everything like that.
Throwing knives at her and killed her.
Yeah.
Any number of things. Now, look, this is after he just got smacked down by Hulk, so he could argue that he's wiped out and is tired. But come on, it's Loki.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing, right? Okay, if these time commissars are insanely tough, that from the Time Lords they are given crazy powers, I'd be okay. I could give Loki some leeway for getting beaten by one of these insanely tough things. Yet in this very same episode, we see the Time Commissars get defeated by fire. Just fire lights on the ground, and they're like, ah! And they're like,
We can literally create portals and travel anywhere, but the fire got us first.
They are defeated so easily, and they're trying to tell me that Loki got beaten by one of these. I hate it. I hate it.
Also, it took them like a long time. So for example, at the end of the thing, they show, we found someone that traveled back in time to supposedly get rich, right? How long did it take him to find that person versus how long it took him to find Loki when he broke the time stream?
Well, and this is the other thing. They say this person is guilty for going back in time, but of course the Avengers will find for again. So it's not going back in time that's the problem.
Yeah,
Shadow, it's supposed to happen. Just accept it.
It's just according to these Time Lords, and what's a more evil name for the Time Lords?
Time Commissars.
Time Commissars. But all right, then what are they like? It's because we're calling the Time Cops the Time Commissars.
Yeah. Oh, which
the lackeys.
ones? The agents.
The agents.
I don't know.
The Time Gestapo.
Time Gestapo, Time SS.
Time
I
SS.
guess the Time Commissars would be the Time SS, and the Time Agents would be the Time.
Time Starlins.
Well, I'm just thinking historically, the agents would be the KGB. The agents would be the KGB, and I'm pretty sure the commissariat was separate from the KGB. I'm not entirely well versed, but anyway.
All right, what's the word for an evil god? These are like peak evil time satans.
Time Satans.
The time satans, okay?
Time demons.
Nah, satans. Satan is more evil. They're a satanistic, totalitarian, reality-destroying, mass-murdering, vile, evil space gods. Anyway, the Time Commissars, right? They're actually not tough. They get defeated by fire, yet they beat Loki. And so, and this is the, like, obviously, I don't know who's doing the overarching things, but when you have an overarching story like this, consistency is really important. Like, equivalence of powers are not undermining. And so these series, like these series that Marvel is releasing, they are assassinating a lot of their MCU characters here. And so they have depowered Loki, made him... And look, I'm glad Loki got some type of win by getting it back at the, Thunder Thighs. But he got way too long to get there. He gets totally depowered. He gets smacked down like a little...
bitch.
Mm-hmm. And so already out the gate, I was like... not so sure about this. Yeah. Okay, I was still going to give it a go, but then it just got worse. I mean, and so then the next part about Loki's progression is the reveal of his life story, right? Where Oz was smack on the money, where they wanted the Loki at the end of the MCU, when this is the Loki after the Battle of New York, and he would still be a vicious, tyrannical megalomaniac. Like he's mad with trying to get power at this point.
What? I don't know. Someone did.
Said it.
It's
alright.
Said what?
No, it's alright.
Yeah. That's the Loki we have, right? Now, I am an author. I'm all about consistency of character and stuff like that. And I have it. And most people understand this. That if you have a character who is that far gone, okay, you're not going to convert him making good guy by showing him the future. Because he's essentially a different person at this point in time. He's an evil person. And so, you know what how he would react when it's revealed to him that he caused his own mother's death? His reaction would be, well, now I know what not to do. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
avoid that. He thinks his whole life is still like the Loki that did that is a different Loki to him.
Yeah.
And even if someone showed me my future, right, what I was going to do, I would still think that's a different Shad, because by showing me, you're just allowing me to choose any other thing that I want. And now I would, like, overtly know what not to do, what not to stuff up. And so, by showing Loki his future, that would ensure making him go down a different path to be a different Loki than the Loki that they're trying to get him to become.
And not just
like, that's the reality, but they do the opposite by showing him the future. They think that will make him the same person, when no! It would actually make him even more divergent to the one that they want.
Yeah. And thinking in context, this is the Loki that literally just finished trying to take over planet Earth, killing Phil Coulson, killing as many civilians as he would need to do.
He literally just snagged the Infinity Stone as an opportunistic way of getting out, and now all of a sudden he's just accepting the terms of his mother's death and his own death.
Yeah, he sees his mum dying, right? To Loki, his mum isn't dead yet.
Exactly.
His mindset would still be in the time period of where he left.
Well,
and so
yeah.
the video would just... It would literally be a probability to him, a possibility that he would know he can avoid now because of his own choices.
Exactly. So the whole touchy-feely version of Loki that we see while he's watching his future is exactly what I was talking about at the start, where that is more akin to the Loki that we see towards the end of the MCU, when he tries to strike at Thor and then gets killed. Like I said, he builds a good relationship with Thor. He becomes more of a good guy.
He had a heroic sacrifice, but he's still shifty towards the end.
But that is more the Loki that we see towards the end. This is not that Loki. This Loki is the bad guy.
Well, no, in the show, after the whole movie thing, as I was just saying, they basically playing him off as the good Loki now.
Yeah, and what I wanted, was because
I wanted a new bad Loki.
Yeah,
Loki being a real big douche, screwing everyone over, being mischievous all through time, and having other people trying to deal with him, and perhaps he could go on a new arc. That's what I was expecting. This is a really cheap shortcut that is wholly contradictory. If they actually were honest to the results of what showing Loki his future would do, would cause the exact opposite of what they're trying to portray.
Yeah. So no, because what I wanted is I wanted this to be, because unless I'm not remembering things correctly, after Loki disappears and then you see him sit on the throne at the end of, I can't remember which.
There's a second one.
It is.
Dark World.
Yeah, Dark World. You pretty much don't see Loki until Ragnarok, and there's quite a bit of MCU in between that and Ragnarok. But at the start of Ragnarok, straight away, he has changed. He's not the Loki we remember. He's disguised as his father, but immediately upon...
I don't know, I think he's pretty much... He does try and portray Thor still in Ragnarok. He's still a douchey douche, right?
Yeah.
So after Ragnarok...
but he sees his father die, so he's kind of getting there.
Yeah.
It's the sacrifice... He goes on his own change in Ragnarok, where he goes to help Thor at the end, doing the heroic sacrifice, where that's where he starts to change. So I don't think he's fully changed at the beginning of Ragnarok, but he starts to change
he's not fully changed, but he's still different to the Loki that we saw in Dark World.
Well, because his mum dies in Dark World.
Yeah.
And then his dad dies at the beginning of Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Which...
So, and this character development that they're kind of bum rushing in the series is too quick. It's
well, of course it is.
It's the wrong time.
But I think most audiences are going to ignore it because they want the good Loki.
Well, they like the good Loki. I liked the good Loki.
I liked the bad Loki too.
Well, so did I. But that's one of the things. Like I said, I love Loki's story arc. I love the way his character changes. I love every iteration of his character in the MCU.
But it kind of annoys me that I reckon most people are just going to accept this bullcrap of him suddenly having a change of heart because he was shown a probability. This might happen. And Loki's honest reaction wouldn't be that. He'd be like, well, don't tell me what my future is.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
That's what Loki's reaction would be.
And it'd be a whole lot more stubborn than to just be like, oh, okay, you show me some movies, I guess that I'll accept that.
Exactly!
And that was combined with the whole him seeing the powerlessness of the Infinity Stones as well, and he kind of accepts, well, this place that's not the Loki from this period either.
Well, see, alright, if Loki was being true Loki to that, Battle of New York, right, and he comes into a reality where all his powers doesn't work and the Infinity Stones aren't working, Loki's true intention then would be to figure out who the space Satans are and to get their powers. He would want to... Loki's MO has always been to supervent the greatest power in his direct vicinity to rule. He wants the power. He tried to do it on the planet he landed on in
Ragnarok. He
Ragnarok.
almost did. He
did it with Asgard. He's always after power to be the big boss. And because this is the Loki directly after the Battle of New York, he would be totally trying to subvert and gain control of this reality, especially if he thinks they're more powerful than Infinity Stones.
And this is the same Loki who managed to gain the favor of Thanos.
Yeah.
And so...
And Thanos gave him an Infinity Stone.
So there could be, hopefully, a bait and switch. That Loki is faking the change of heart from the movie. The problem is, this is a big problem, right? They had Loki crying when he was by himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't acting to anyone.
Yeah.
Which makes it mean that this should be genuine. He could try and fake it to Owen Wilson and the Time everyone, but because he was by himself, unless he thought he was being recorded or something, what reason did he have to show genuine remorse and change?
See, this is the thing though, because after he sees that, Owen Wilson comes back, and because before that, Owen Wilson asked him a question, do you enjoy hurting people? And Loki refused to answer, and then Loki sees the events of his life. Owen Wilson comes back, and Loki says something along the lines, I can't exactly remember, but he says something along the lines of, it's not that I enjoy hurting people. He pretty much says it's a mask that the weak put on to
get power.
So he's right there, he's calling himself weak.
Never do.
That's not Loki. Now, at the start of this, I said I enjoyed
I also have something edgy to say.
At the start of this, I said I enjoyed these things, these disagreements that I have with Loki's character at this point that agreeing with it doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy the episode.
But is your rating changing?
My rating's not changing.
I think it should. We have been talking about some big problems.
Yeah, no, we have, but I still, and I'll explain why my rating isn't changing when I talk about what I think is going to happen.
Okay, Oz, you're holding the axe.
What is it with the MCU's focus on mental health? Anyone else notice that? You got WandaVision being about a white woman and her mental health. You've got Bucky being completely, turned into a unit.
I don't think it's a bad thing having stories with
I think that having all of your stories about that and fully feature it and try to bloody coddle people all the time is a bad thing.
No, I disagree with that notion completely.
You see, it's like, oh look, I have a cut here. Better keep poking it and it'll heal.
No, that's not what I don't think that's what it's about anyway.
I think that's what it is.
Right, well, to save us from getting derailed, we're putting the axe down. Back to Loki. So I don't know if Loki is faking it or not. I don't think, they showed it incorrectly by him being so sincere when he was by himself. But perhaps that could just have been a mistake on the writer's part, and that this is Loki's master plan to actually subvert the TVA and overtake it and gain their power. Because that is totally Loki's MO right now.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it should be. And if they don't, and for some reason, what they haven't shown yet, for what reason why Loki should be helping them out. He's just told them that the person they're having trouble with is Loki from another reality or dimension or something like that.
And I'll just say, the way you only got a glimpse of this Loki, but this other Loki that they're chasing seems more like the Loki we know from...
Well, see, you know what this is something that they might have actually thought about, and this is, alright, predictions. Maybe we'll go to predictions next, because I have a couple of predictions. But did you have anything else you want to share on Loki, Nathan?
No, I agree with everything that's been said. I'm waiting for the next episode. I'm waiting for the whole season to be finished before I make any real judgments. But yeah, after watching WandaVision and Winter Soldier, I feel the same as well. So it's getting a bit...
So what's your rating at the moment? Has it changed at all?
I'll probably go down to a 6. Yeah, going down to a 6.
Come down to a 3 with me, buddy.
I'm keeping it an 8 because I'm happy with the themes they're putting in. I think they're going to go for TVA being evil communists.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm worried they're not. So let's go for predictions now. Is that your prediction?
My prediction, evil communist TVA going to be revealed. Loki, the Loki we're seeing now might be the Loki in the future that's actually the Loki that's messing with the TVA now.
That's what my prediction is.
Oh.
Yeah, my main prediction is that I think the Loki they're fighting will be the same Loki as the current one.
But in the future.
And
they're going to use this, if that's not correct, they're going to use this to put Loki back in the main MCU.
Yeah,
Just
I reckon
just like
that will
Gamora.
do as well. But my further prediction is that I think that they are going, and I so hope they don't do this. Like, this is one of those times where I'd be happy and over the moon if I'm wrong. But I think they're going to justify the TVA.
Because
what
they
they're
have
doing.
to.
And that they want to keep... Like, if they don't... Oh, man. Like, I'd love to see the TVA get destroyed and that Loki frees up the... like, Loki's ultimate act in the series is to free up the multiverse to have different parallel realities again.
Because that's him, the antithesis of his thing that freedom is life's great lie. He's actually giving freedom back to every possible iteration of existence. That would be a cool little arc right
I
there.
would hope they do that. I am worried, and I'm going to take the skeptical approach that I think they're going to do the opposite. And this is and I'm only saying this because they have done some of the worst decisions recently, and it would be in their playbook to have the TVA be justified in what they're doing, and Loki's gonna do his thing amongst them, leave into the MCU timeline, and the TVA is going to disappear into their own reality to continue doing what they're doing. We'll never see him again, but the TVA is gonna be there doing what they're doing, correcting the timeline as they're going to justify it should be, which will be the worst thing ever, and the MCU will be establishing one of the greatest evils to be a good. And oh man, I so hope I'm
To
wrong.
be fair, they did call the terrorist in. They did sympathize.
Well, that's the thing. They were trying to make the terrorists out in Winter Soldier as sympathetic when this is a flippin' mass murdering psychopath, and Falcon is like, had a boner for her. Gosh.
Yeah, so I'm with Chad. If they somehow try to justify the TVA, my rating's going to drop because I don't want to see that either. But yeah, so basically Oz's prediction was pretty much on the point with mine. So I think that, yeah, this Loki that they're chasing is current Loki except from the future. Or in trying to hunt down this other Loki, I'm thinking that they might dabble in a little bit of, this Loki meets up with other Loki, they put their heads together and take down the TVA.
If it's a different Loki is going to want to learn the powers of the new Loki.
And kill that Loki.
And then use the techniques that the evil Loki is doing to get him free of the TVA. And then the TVA will probably be chasing him down, justifying their purpose. We've got to stop the bad Loki. Oh, the new Loki or whatever, and then he'll escape into the MCU universe, and the TVA will they'll give up the chase. But they'll go on and continue.
I'd like to see the TVA taken down.
Yep.
Of course you were there!
The Time Lords destroyed.
They're space Satans!
They're space commissar Nazis.
That serve space Satans.
Yes.
If they try to show one of the most evil things that's ever been seriously, one of the most evil antagonist that's ever been in any media or anything was a reality destroying entity, right? And that's what this group is. And if they're trying to say this group,
they're the space Satanists, the SS, you could call them.
they literally currently are enemies of free will. They are trying to fight all free will because they have already shown that it is possible to make choices contrary to the golden timeline, and if you do, you get this.
Well, the true evil is their means to fight free will, which is destroying entire realities.
But even their desire to want to suppress free will in the first place is just... predictions, Nathan.
I think the Loki we see at the start is going to go back to the original MCU timeline.
Yep.
That's where it's going to end. I like the prediction of he's going to somehow destroy the TVA and then open up all different timelines, and then we'll get really good Spider-Man movies and Doctor Strange movies because
this is the other thing. This is the thing. Isn't the next Spider-Man movie going to have alternate reality Spider-Mans?
And
how does that fit with the TVA?
And Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, that's. Because
I wonder if that will actually justify the multiverse. I wonder if this is the ultimate goal to open up the multiverse, to have Multiverse of Madness and the Spider-Man movies. This could be the supposed.
And what could be a better goal for the god of mischief than destroying the gods of order?
They're not gods of order.
Well, the gods of a prescribed
gods
order.
of anti-life. gods of like literally,
anti-life,
like the anti-life equation in the DC Comics was an anti-free will equation.
Yeah.
That if you master the anti-life equation, you could dominate and control people and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, man. Those are our predictions. These are our thoughts. My view of Loki might change if they do hopefully show the TVA to be evil.
Yeah.
I still hate how they have just undermined the narrative significance of the Infinity Stones, that they have emasculated Loki, depowered him, make him everyone's little, do what with. And
now, can I use one example of a movie where they've done something similar to? They've shown why this thing. They've tried to put across a political idea, but accidentally done the opposite because they didn't understand the source material.
Mm-hmm.
Starship Troopers. They try to present as fascistic when there's nothing fascistic about it. Just like they're going to present the TVA as the good guys when they're complete authoritarians. Might be doing the same thing.
Because if that is the case, it is showing some shocking beliefs of the writers that they believe totalitarian and forcing everyone to do what they want kind of this is concerning. So these are our thoughts. I'm sure there's going to be lots of discussion in the comments below. We look forward to reading them. I wonder
Let's
how
hear
many
your predictions
this
as well.
I reckon my views are going to tick off a lot of people.
Yep.
Because everyone's loving Loki at the moment, and at the moment I hate it. So there we go. Oof.
So I guess we'll see you next time.
See you next episode. Yeah. I wonder what will happen next episode.
Yeah.
Until then.